It is Monday, October 6th. The Supreme Court is finally returning from its summer recess, and a lot of people in the LGBTQ plus community are worried right now because essentially they will be considering a number of pieces of legislation and cases that have a lot to do with the LGBTQ plus community. And Gaby has decided to make a guest appearance today. But many of these will determine potentially the fate of a lot of um, legalities as they apply to us. One is from Colorado. It is a case about conversion therapy. There was a therapist in that state who basically was arguing that the ban on conversion therapy limits her freedom of speech and expression. So that could present like a very, you know, kind of terrifying precedent for the LGBTQ plus community. Um, if that is allowed to kind of go through. And like I think my big worry, hi Kiwi. I think my big worry is that like other cases in other states could lead to other, you know, other people like trying to like reverse the ban on conversion therapy. Like conversion therapy is so scary, and like I just at the end of the day, I worry the most about LGBTQ plus youth because they are the ones who, like, we're trying to make the future a better place for them, right? But things as they are right now seems to be slipping backward. And between that and then, like, there's a number of cases related to, like, transgender people in sports. There even is, like, the fear of them readdressing marriage equality. I know the Supreme Court, like at least a couple of individuals in the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas and Alito, like both have made comments about readdressing marriage equality again, which would drastically impact a lot of people. Now, here is the thing that gets me because, like, I really can gauge people's support of myself, my community, my fiance, based on how they respond to us expressing these concerns. And I often will just have people be like, well, you're inflating it, or you're being overdramatic, or you're being so of the fear mongery or negative. And the truth is, like, this is the reality that the LGBTQ plus community has had to face every single day. Like, this isn't some new thing that, has not been experienced. If you look at our history, which of course a lot of people don't have access to our history, considering it's being minimized and erased in a variety of contexts. But if you look at our history, like throughout like the last 60 years, there have been so many instances where there's been progress and then there's been reversal. There's been progress and then there's been reversal. Like the LGBTQ plus community was at a critical juncture in the 80s and like the early 90s with the AIDS crisis, for example. That's one that we often look to. But like I do think that the momentum has been so continuously in the wrong direction that it's causing many of us to have justified bouts of concern because one, we're tired, we're exhausted from having to continue to fight this fight. But at the end of the day, I also know that is what those powers that be want. Like, they want us to be tired, they want us to be depleted, they want us to feel alone and isolated. But the truth is, we're not. We have each other, we have our allies. And I think that's why it's especially important now to have those conversations. And for those people who aren't really impacted by any of this, insinuating that we're fear mongering or being negative or being dramatic, like I personally feel that is a gross misjudgment of the entire situation. It is a gross minimization of the gravity of how things are right now. And like, don't get me wrong, like I fully think that we all should be measured in our responses and our reactions to things. But being that we are human beings too, I think that we have every right to express concerns and to at least have an open dialogue and have conversation about those concerns, you know? I think when we all fall silent, that is when the one of the final critical junctures are reached, right? Because if we fall to complete silence, that suggests that we're so downtrodden we can't get back up, or it suggests that we, have lost our right or ability to do so entirely. But oh no, it's just, and I think maybe I've been really raw about all of this, considering it's so close to our wedding. The fact that my fiance and I have had in the back of our heads like just this, like these backup plans if the Supreme Court chooses to do what it does. And it's really sucked having to think about those things when we should be focused on our happiness right now. So, but anyway, those are just some of my thoughts for the day. I guess I really hope the Supreme Court makes decisions in favor of the LGBTQ plus community, because right now we are fighting legislation like on state levels. We are fighting an administration in power who really wants to minimize and erase us. We really need these checks and balances right now, and for the sake of marginalized communities. So, but what can you do to help out? Or if you are in the community, what can you do? Find a support network. Find a PFLAG chapter. Support grassroots organizations. Vote. Like, these are important things too. If there's an LGBTQ plus person in your life and you're an ally and they are afraid, like, you may not know the answers, you may not know how to necessarily console them, but being there by listening, like that in of itself is such a powerful gesture that you can do. And it could, you know, do wonders for an individual. I'm grateful that I have the privilege of having a strong support network of found family and therapy. And I know not everybody has that luxury. So if you don't have that luxury, there are options online. Like, as a member of PFLAG, I always just tell people go to pflag.org. There are resources there at your disposal. If you want to learn more about how to be a stronger ally, I do have an entire playlist about that, so please check that out. And go check out my videos about gay loneliness and how it applies to things happening right now. Thank you, as always, for listening. Thank you for the support. We are all in this together. Never forget that. Bye.